Okay, welcome back. Okay, welcome back. We stopped at the matching error correction techniques. Number 4, number 5, number 6. We agreed on that number 5A, meta-linguistic clue. I gave him a clue about the form or the rule. And we have different opinions here about number 4 and number 6. Which one is elicitation and which one is the repetition?
I think number 6 repetition is C.
Alia, repetition is C. Okay.
And number 4 B. Elicitation.
Elicitation. Yes.
It again, please. So I think it's elicitation.
Okay. In fact, yes. Number 6 is C. Number 6 is C. This is repetition. Why? Because, sorry, C. Because the teacher here repeats what the student said, but in a different intonation. It looks like a question. Again, repetition, the teacher repeats what the students had just said, but in a different intonation. It looks like a question. So here, when the student said, he speaks Chinese, the student, he speaks Chinese. So here I give him a hint that repeat it again, but you have a mistake.
He feels something wrong.
Exactly, yes. So here I'm encouraging the student to correct himself. So say what you have already said again, say it again, but in a correct way. How can I give him a hint in repeating in a different intonation? So I repeat what he had just said, but in a different intonation. He feels that there is something wrong. So he thinks about that. It's really encouraging students to self-correct. Okay, so 6 is C, of course, and elicitation is B. Okay, elicitation, in fact, here. Okay, let's check that chat box. As a recast. Okay, so I can't say repetition as recast because recast is the teacher corrects himself. For example, when I say, I am playing football now. So yes, you are playing football now. So this is recast. The teacher corrects the mistake, okay? But repetition, the teacher doesn't. The teacher repeat what has been said, but in a different intonation, okay? So I think in repetition, I encourage students to self-correct, but in recast, I don't. Yes, okay, Ms. Noor. Okay, repetition is B. Elicitation is B. Why? Because here he speaks Chinese. Say it again, please. So here I elicit from him the correct form. Okay, here I don't recast. I don't repeat the mistake. Okay, I don't recast. I don't reformulate the sentence in a different way. So I don't say the sentence in a different way and in a different intonation, like repetition. So I elicit the right form from students. And I can say in a different way, by the way, he speaks Chinese. I can say he and stop. And he complete in a correct way. For example, he speaks Chinese. This is a student. The teacher, he and stop. I encourage students to complete the sentence in a correct way. And he can recognize that or realize that we have a mistake after he. Okay, when I say he is playing football now. So I say he is and stop. Here I have a pause. I give my students a chance to correct himself by eliciting the right form. Okay, so if I wanted to elicit the right form, I can ask students to say it again or to have a pause. And I ask a student to complete correctly. Okay, so these are the techniques of error correction. We have 6 techniques. We'll see it correctly. Explicit correction, it's all about the teacher. Recast, you say what the student said, but in a correct way. Okay, without saying there is a mistake. Explicit, you say, we have a mistake here, and you correct it. Recast, you will repeat it in a correct way without saying we have a mistake. Clarification request, you ask students to clarify what they have already said. For example, pardon, what did you say? So here I am asking for clarification, okay? Elicitation, you can ask a student to say that again or have a pause. Say the sentence and stop at the correct or the error. Elicit the correct form from students, encouraging him to self-correct. Meta-linguistic clue, you give him a clue, and it's suitable for students who are advanced students or older students, because young learners, in fact, don't know the concept. Yeah, we teach them present continuous without saying that we are teaching present continuous or we are learning present continuous. We teach them present simple without saying we are learning present simple. We don't say concept or the item, okay? So when I say to a child in primary 1, for example, third person S, I think sometimes it is not meaningful for him. But if I say that to a student in primary, in prep 1, they can get the point. Yes, Teresa, go ahead. Teresa, yeah.
As a kind of clue, it is not. You can't say a third person. We can say he, one person, singular, and point with our finger. It could be a clue without having idioms or definitions.
Yes.
And it would be a clue.
Yeah, that's right. And here, if you want to make it simple as much as you can, yes. So you can give him a clue in a simple way, because I know that my students don't know what is third person. They don't know what is present continuous. Yes. So you can give him them a clue in a simple way, because I know that
yes.
my students,
they can differentiate between singular and plural. They can look at my fingers pointing to just one finger, and
yes,
it would be a clue, and remind them he should put S in this case.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Okay. And the last one is repetition. I repeat what students have just said, but in a different intonation. It looks like a question, okay? And here they feel that we have a mistake. So I have to correct it himself, the students, I mean. So here, some techniques encourage students to self-correct, and the other student, the teacher do that himself or herself, okay? Like explicit, okay? Okay, Teresa, do you want to add anything? Teresa?
No, thank you. I forgot to lower my hand.
Okay, here we have a quickly explanation of explicit correction. The teacher states it's an error and corrects it. So it's, as I said, it's all about the teacher. It's a teacher center and immediate and quick. Okay. Okay. Can you tell me which situation I use explicit correction? Can you guess? So I state that there is a mistake, an error, and correct it. Can you guess when I can use this way? Explicit correction, it's all about the teacher. And I say, yeah, pay attention, we have a correction here. It's supposed to say that instead of that. So can you guess when should I use this way? Again, when I have accuracy activity, okay, it's supposed to immediately correct the mistakes, especially when we have repetition and drilling. Okay, so this is number one. It's quick, it's immediate, and it's all about the teacher. It's a teacher-centered techniques. Okay, of course, this technique doesn't encourage students to self-correct. Okay, so this number one. Number two, recast. Here, the teacher doesn't directly say there is a mistake, but he recast what the student said. And it fits naturally in the conversation. Quickly recast on and move on. So here you don't interrupt the flow of the conversation. It's okay, Alia. Okay, so recast what students had just said, and don't state that there is a mistake. You recast and move on. So don't interrupt the flow of conversation. So you can use these techniques while speaking. While you have a role play, a conversation, just repeat what the students have said in a correct way and move on. Okay, don't stop. This is for recast. Another technique, which is clarification request. Again, the teacher feels that the message is not clear. So he helps students or asks students for clarification to make it clear for him and for students. Like the example here, pardon. So here I'm asking for clarification. What did you say? I wanted to understand what you have said. Okay. It fits naturally into conversation, and it promotes self-correction, because I don't correct the students here. It's all about the teacher, the student, not the teacher. Okay. Clarification request. Okay. Another one.
Support self-correction.
Again?
Support self-correction.
Recast?
No.
Clarification request?
Yes, clarification request.
Yes, students correct themselves. Yes. Okay. Another one, meta-linguistic clue. And here I give a clue, a hint to the students to correct himself. Okay, it's information about the form, about the grammar item or grammar structure. Like here's a second example here. I said it yesterday. Generalization instead of so he said I said. Okay, so is said is the past tense of see. So meta-linguistic clue. So I give him a clue that said is wrong, and it's supposed it's not the past form of see. Students here will correct himself and say, I saw him yesterday, or I saw it yesterday. Okay, self-correction again. Okay, another one, which is number 5, elicitation. And here I ask students to repeat what they have said, or as I said, make a pause and encourage students to complete. Okay, for example, here, this can be done by pausing and allowing the student to complete a sentence as a teacher started, or by asking them to recast what they were saying. Okay, so say it again, please. He will say it again in a correct form. Or I can make a pause. As I said, I have seen or met, I have met my friend. I have. So here I pause and encourage him to correct himself. So he will say, I have met my friend. Okay, so here I can ask him to say it again, and he will think it's supposed to make a mistake. I made a mistake here, I say it correctly, or I pause. And for me, I prefer pausing. Yes, I always use eliciting in my classroom. I say what they have said, but I stop at a certain word, because here we have an error and the students can correct themselves. It's really, it works with me. Okay. The last one is repetition. I repeat what the students have said, but in a different intonation. It looks like a question, and the students here feels that, yes, I made a mistake. He speaks Chinese. He speaks Chinese. So he will say he speaks Chinese. He feels that, yes, I have a mistake here. Self-correction again. Okay. So I help my students to self-correct with different techniques. Okay. So these are the 6 techniques of error correction. Any questions so far? 6 techniques of error correction. This is how errors should be corrected. The 3rd question, by the way. Okay. Okay. I'd like you, if you have any question, and tell me what error correction would work for your students and which one wouldn't work for your students. As I said, the one I really like is elicitation. I think I always use it in my classroom. By the way, it's supposed to vary your techniques. Don't depend on just one technique. Don't explicit all of the time, elicit all of the time, or use repetition all of the time. It's supposed to vary your techniques according to the situation. So could you tell me which technique you feel that it would work for your students and which technique you feel, no, it wouldn't work for my students? What do you think? If you don't want to speak, just type in the chat box. Okay, which one do you like best, or you feel that, yes, it's really helpful? And which one you think that, no, it won't work with for my students?
I like the ones which help self-correction.
Yes. So
I like
we
them
can,
the most.
yes.
Recasting and repetition.
Repetition, clarification request.
Not recasting, no, clarification
Recasting,
request.
yes. Clarification request, repetition, and elicitation.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Self-correction, you won't forget it.
Exactly, yes. Yeah, you are right. It will be memorable because, yes, I corrected myself, so I won't forget it. Yes. Thank you, Teresa. Noha said repetition. Yeah, it really works, Noha, yes. It really works because when I say the sentence with intonation of a question, yes, I feel that, I think it encouraged me to think, yes, I have a mistake here. It's supposed to correct it. Noha said repetition and recast. Yes. As we said, recast, it fits into a conversation because it keeps the flow of a conversation. So I recast and move on. I'll keep speaking. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Teresa, and thank you, Noha. We have another one, Noha. The students understand that there is a mistake. Yes. Yeah, that's right. And Shaima likes eliciting. Yes. I love it too. I love eliciting too. Especially posing, using poses. Yes. And repetition, yes, it's really great way. As Teresa said, the techniques that help students self-correct is really help them to remember their mistakes and how to correct them. Thanks a lot for your participation. So till now we discussed the 3 questions. Can you remember the questions? Can you remember question number 1?
What, when, how?
Yes. What, when, how? Yes. Exactly. Yes. What, when, how? Thank you, Teresa, and thank you, Noha. What should I do about the errors, to correct or not? When, immediately or delayed, and how? 6 techniques. Yes, you can use them and vary. Okay. Many thanks. And now the last question. Who should correct the mistake or the error? It's supposed, who should correct the error? What do you think?
The participants, either me or the students himself or his peers.
Exactly, yes. So the teacher correction, the students himself correct himself, so self-correction, and the classmates, so peer correction. So we have 3 people who should correct the mistakes: the teacher, the students himself who made the mistake, and the classmates, the other students. Yes, teacher, self, or peer. Yes, Miss Noha, that's right. Self-correction, the students, himself or herself. Peer correction, students correct each other, and the teacher correction. And here we have a comparison between the three ways who should correct the mistakes: teacher, other students, and self-corrected. Of course, when the teacher corrects the mistakes all of the time, so it will be teacher-centered classroom. So all of the time the teacher corrects the mistakes, so students depend on that, so the teacher will correct me. So the teacher want to give a chance to think about their mistakes, okay? So when I correct the students all of the time, I don't provide them with an opportunity or a chance to think and correct themselves. So I think, yes, it may be quick, immediately, and save time. When I correct my students all of the time, I save the time. So yes, it saves time, it's quickly, it's immediate and quick and saves the time. But I think it doesn't give students a chance to think about their mistakes and self-correct. Yes, Teresa, go ahead.
In a scenario we have discussed, it may save a situation for the child.
Yes, exactly. When we say we have some situation that the teacher should correct immediately, when I feel that my students are embarrassed, the classmates are laughing at him, so it's supposed to immediately correct the mistake and save the situation, to end the situation. Yes, we have some good points about teacher correction. I can't say it doesn't work all of the time. Yes, it has advantages. It can save the situation, as you said, and save time. It's really quick and immediate, especially when I have accuracy activity. But we have some disadvantages, that the students don't reflect on their mistakes, so they don't have a chance to correct themselves. Okay, so here correction is immediate, quick. Students can hear the correct form because we say that loudly. It's loud, clear, and heard. All the students can hear the correct form, and it saves the time. But here it will be a teacher-centered classroom, and here students can't reflect on the errors and correct themselves. Okay, so this is for the teacher. Yes, I can't say Teresa, teacher correction is bad all of the time. It has advantages and disadvantages. Okay, what about the other students? When I give the students a chance to correct each other, so they get involved, cooperate with each other to analyze what is the errors here. Okay, so when I give my students a chance to correct each other, I really get my students involved in the learning process and give them a chance to cooperate with each other. But sometimes students feel that when the students feel that my classmate corrects me, sometimes he feel that he is less knowledgeable. Yeah, embarrassed somehow. Yes, exactly. Each way has advantages and disadvantages. So when I encourage students to correct each other, some students may feel embarrassed or disappointed because my classmate corrects me. So students, yes, they are really involved with we have cooperation between them, and they can think and reflect on the errors, and they are engaged and they correct each other mistakes. They can learn from each other. But sometimes we get some disadvantages because some students feel that I'm not clever enough because my classmate corrects me. So he may feel disappointed or less knowledgeable. Yes, Teresa, go ahead.
You know, sometimes when his friend corrects him, it is more memorable than if I corrected to him, especially if he is his friend. He can correct the mistake in a very simple way, which suits his friend's mind. They know how to tackle some simple points here. Let me explain it for you. And he told his friend the correction in a very simple way, suits their age, and sometimes they like it.
Yes, I got
You
your
know,
point.
some friend tell me, let me explain it to him, miss.
Yes, exactly.
And
Okay,
he did.
yeah, he did. What about the other students' reaction?
You know, they may get it from him.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm sure. Yes. Yeah, I
They
can.
like it from him. They like the simplifying which he made, because it comes from a little mind just like them.
A
You
simple
know,
way.
it suits, yes, it suits them.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, Teresa said when the classmates correct each other, they will learn from each other because he will correct him in a simple way, which is suitable, appropriate for their age and level. Okay, yes, I agree with you, sure. It can be helpful in a certain situation. Yes, yeah, that's right. Each one has advantages and disadvantages. And sometimes, as Teresa said, classmates learn from each other. So it will be simple. Then I do that myself. Yes. Okay. The last one is self-correction. And of course, students correct themselves when they know, when they are able to correct themselves. Okay. And of course,
When it is a slip, you know.
yeah, when we have slips or mistakes that they know the rule, so they can correct themselves. So when they are able to correct themselves, yes, give them a chance to correct themselves. And here again, they reflect on what they have said and they think about that. How can I correct that? So they do that themselves. So of course, it's a great way. And here we don't have disadvantages, in fact. So here it's possible only when a student is able to correct him or herself. And
The
when a student knows the rule.
disadvantage is if it is available. It is not available all the
Yeah,
time.
only, yes. When they only know how to correct themselves. And sometimes the students, for example, when we speak about a grammar item or grammar structure, they know how to form past simple tense, but they don't know the use of past simple tense. They know the present perfect, how to form a present perfect, but they don't know how to use present perfect. These students can correct themselves, but sometimes they don't know how to use it. I mean, they know the form, so they can correct themselves, but sometimes they don't know how to use it, the meaning or the use. Okay, so once they know the form, they can correct themselves. Okay, and maybe they can't correct themselves while using, but once you said it's supposed to be in present perfect, so once you give them a hint or a clue, they will go ahead or move on and correct themselves. Okay, so here it's supposed when you feel that students can correct themselves, just give him a clue or a hint. Use a technique that is helpful, encouraging to self-correct. Okay, so whenever you feel that your students can correct themselves, give them the chance to correct themselves. Okay, I check the chat box. Noha said she has some students refuse their classmates to help them. So what do you think? How can I help this? If I want to encourage them to peer correction, to have peer correction, but they don't like that. They refuse their classmates to correct them. What do you think? How can I do with these students?
We can discuss with them.
Yes.
It's okay to make mistakes, and it's okay that your friend correct your mistakes. It doesn't mean anything.
Yes, to speak with them and to have such safe environment. So it's okay to
Yes.
mistake. It's okay to
Refusing is not okay. It doesn't mean he is okay as a child.
yes. So it's supposed Miss Noha to work with them, how to work in a team, how to work together, to have such reflection on their work. They need to get used to do that. Okay.
And using group works.
Exactly, yes. They want to get used to work in a group or to do group work. Okay, so this is how should who should correct the errors. So we have discussed 4 questions. Okay, so let's wrap up the 4 questions of today's session. Can you tell me what are the 4 questions? What are the 4 questions?
When, how, what, who.
Exactly, yes. So these are the questions that help me to decide what should I do while error correction. What should I do about the error to correct or not? When, immediately or delayed? Who? Is it about me or the students themselves, or the students who had just made a mistake? Yes. And how? The 6 techniques of error correction. So this is the whole point of today's session. This helpful question will help the teacher while correcting the mistakes. So it's time for your questions. If you have any questions. Okay, have you got any questions about today's session?
I don't have any questions, but I'm so pleased with you. Really, it's amazing.
Thank you, Teresa. Thank you, Alia. I'm sorry. Thank you, Alia. Yes, Noha, we have discussed this question. What, when, how, and who. Yes. Okay, so if you
have to repeat this session again.
Why?
I missed a lot.
Because of
and I think
internet.
Yeah, so badly today. And I think when we have to start with the year, I think it will be so helpful.
Yes, inshallah. Yes, it's really helpful, especially while having speaking activities or grammar.
Yeah.
Yes. Do we have a game as a practice? A game of, do you mean, Teresa, a game to error correction? Do you mean that? Oh, yes. Do you mean case studies? I know, yeah, but I have to say it. Yeah, yes. I have prepared for you, I'm not sure, 4 or 5 case studies, but in fact, we have already discussed together about 10 case studies, but I'd like you to send it on the WhatsApp group. So I prepared, yes, I think 4 or 5, I'm not sure, but I'd like to send it after the session on the WhatsApp group. Yes, yeah, I prepared that because I'd like you to reflect on what we have already discussed together using case studies, and I'll send them on the WhatsApp group, inshallah, yes. And I'll wait for your discussion. But not now, in fact. I'll send them on the WhatsApp group. More case studies. Yes, and by the way, it will be about the 4 questions. What should you do to correct or not? When, immediately or delayed? How, which technique? And who? The teacher, the students, or the students who made the mistake? So it's about the whole session, the whole questions. Yes, inshallah, I prepared that. Okay, any other questions? Okay, I'm sure I prepared these case studies, situations or scenarios. I'll send them on the WhatsApp group, and inshallah, I prefer to discuss that in the group. Okay, so this is for the practical side, because I felt that we have discussed the 10 scenarios. We can discuss more on our WhatsApp group. Okay, so welcome, Noha. Okay, now it's time for our exit ticket. So tell me what's your aha moment, something that you like most, or give me a summary of the session today in just one sentence, or what idea from this session you will try in your classroom. We have a lot of exit tickets, so you can tell me what's your aha moment.
Yeah, the techniques. Yeah,
a summary or idea that you would like to try in your classroom. So waiting for your participation. We have 4 minutes, so go ahead, you have good time. Yes, Teresa, let's start with Teresa.
My aha moment is that recast and repetition aren't the same.
Recast and
repetition.
Repetition, yes.
Yes, they aren't the same, and repetition, it was recast in my mind, and repetition has a different technique.
Yes, they are different. Yes, exactly.
Yes, and what I thought it was repetition, it turned out to be a recast, and I understood what a repetition technique should be.
Yeah, the difference between them. Yes. Thank you, Teresa. Okay, who else?
Thank you.
Okay, tell me something that an idea that you want to carry out in your classroom, or use in your classroom, try in your classroom, or give me a summary of the session, or give me your aha moment, something that you like most. We have 3 minutes. Go ahead. Alia, Noha, Miss Julia.
The presentation itself, it's a aha moment from the beginning.
Yes, the 4 questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
question
and what we done? Yeah. So excited. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to apply it.
I hope that. Thank you, Alia. Noha said, I understand what kinds of error I can correct. Okay. Okay, anything else? Do you want to share anything? We have 2 minutes.
Thank you, many thanks.
You're welcome. When I correct it, yes, immediately or delayed. Thank you, Noha. Okay. I'm really grateful for your time. Thanks a lot. I hope your expectation.
Grateful for you.
The session meet your expectation.
It was great, as usual.
Thank you. Yeah. So welcome. Thank you, Noha. Welcome. Yes, Noha said she know when to correct and how, the techniques. Thank you, Noha. Thanks, Teresa. Thanks, Alia. Thank you, Shayma. Thank you, Miss Julia. Inshallah, we will meet soon, inshallah. And after the session, inshallah, I'll send you the case studies, the scenarios. Inshallah, you will discuss it with me on the group, inshallah. Waiting for your participation.
والله يعني لولا ان انت بتسجلي كنت قلت لك فعلا المحتوى ده لو بفلوس مش هيتاخد بالشكل ده بصراحه يعني.
شكرا يا عليا والله.
طب ما هي فعلا
دي حقيقه فعلا.
معظم السيشن يا اما يعني انا كورس اخدته مثلا او تدريب اخدته وبديكم السمري يعني او اللي هو زي يوسفول ثينج، فده كان جزء من تريننج اخدته.
لا بصراحه يعني محظوظين بيكي جدا، بقول لك فعلا لو ده كورس بنحط فيه فلوس مش هيبقى بالشكل ولا هيطلع بكده. حتى انت بتقولي خدتيه لكن البرزنتيشن بالشكل ده وبالوضع ده لا بصراحه لا. يعني ما فيش كلام اقوله لك يعني سبيتلش يعني.
Thank you, Alia. And if you want to ask anything, send the question on our WhatsApp group, or if you want to suggest any topic, you are so welcome. شكرا. So grateful. تريزا، علياء، شيماء، مس جوليا، الناس اللي كانت موجودة، ومس نهى طبعا، والناس اللي هي ما كملتش. شكرا خالص، واشوفكم قريبا ان شاء الله. Thank you. See you soon. Bye. You too, Noha.